29.
Okay.
All right, good afternoon and welcome. This is a workshop for the City of Ottawa. Madam Clerk, if you could just let the record reflect that the entire council is present.
Will do.
The purpose of this workshop is only got one item on the agenda, and it's to discuss proposed regulations for food trucks. We did get some public comment emailed in that I'll have Christina read. Should we do that first?
We can, sure.
Or should I see from the public?
Why don't you see if anybody from the public?
Does anyone from the public want to speak before we get started? There'll be opportunities all throughout the discussion, but. Right.
I do, I'm not, really sure, is this about, you guys wanting to not, like, ban food trucks altogether
Well,
in a sense?
I guess what happened is there was a group of restaurant and bar people that sent a letter that did, on the first sentence said, we wanted to ban food trucks. When we got it, we told them that we can't ban them. But we are at fault for not having any regulations whatsoever. And the issue was they had 18 people sign the letter. The way it was written, it would have been hard to go get it redone. So hindsight, I think they probably wish they didn't do it that way, but so I guess what I'll do is I'll read my statement of where we're at, and then we'll do the public comments.
Sure.
So as most of us know, the City of Ottawa does not have any regulations for the operation of mobile food vendors. The purpose of this workshop is to discuss the development of rules and regulations that should be applied for these type of food service operations. First and foremost, I want to stress that my concern is that we ensure safe food handling by all food vendors. The LaSalle County Health Department routinely inspects the brick and mortar food service operations, and they also have regulations for the mobile food units. It's my understanding that the local food truck operator, Bertha's, has the LaSalle County and the State Department of Health certifications in the food handler training. I'm suggesting that we adopt a requirement that all food vendors have something similar. And this is kind of something I took from the Will County Health Department, tweaked it a little bit, but mobile vending operations refer to a readily movable truck, trailer, or push cart food service. Food provided by mobile vendors comes from a business that is licensed and inspected by a health authority. Mobile units must be serviced and resupplied from a fixed and licensed commissary. All mobile food vendor units must obtain an operating permit from the LaSalle County Health Department. In order to protect the public, mobile food vendor businesses must also employ certified food handlers who have successfully taken the 15-hour food service sanitation manager course. A mobile food unit must provide a copy of the LaSalle County Health Department certificate, provide a copy of the ANSI accredited food handler training certificate, or proof of approval by the Illinois Department of Public Health. And that's what I was hoping, that we could at least all agree the first step is to make sure that whoever's serving food is preparing it in a healthy way and a safe way for both our citizens and our visitors. So with that, and I had met with Jared and Sadie, and they told me that they have all those qualifications, which they really educated me a lot because I didn't know that those requirements are out there. So now what I'll do is I'll have Christina read the 3 emails that we received today, and then we'll open it up for discussion.
And Mayor, I only have 2. Did I miss one along the way? One from Katie Harris and Karen Maryland.
And one from
There.
Gigi.
Okay, I may have missed that one.
That's the middle one.
Okay.
The Harris one
Oh,
is first.
yes, I did see, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I
Do
did
we
see
have
that.
everybody
but-
introduce themselves so we know who we're talking to? I mean, they know who we are, but
Sure.
on the microphone, Corey Lilly, audio doesn't.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Thank you.
I'm Sadie Murley, also owner and operator. Do you want me to introduce for you guys? Or for who I do know? This right here is Amanda Wagan from Open Space Art Gallery. That is Jared Murley, my husband. I don't know you two, so I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
My name is Ashley Davis, and I'm speaking on behalf of the public. Did you want to introduce yourself, or did you want me to introduce you? And this is Patricia as well, and she's going to be here speaking on behalf of the public as well for the food trucks.
Okay.
Jeremy Johnson, owner and operator, JJ's Pub and Grill, and then Mr. Brad Hughes over there from Monty's Riverside Inn.
Okay, and then from the city, we got Dave Nobles, our Economic Development Director, and our city treasurer is Don Harris. And we do have our fire chief watching from the conference room, so. So we'll have Christina read the letters that we received today.
This email was received from Jody Harris. It was received today, Thursday, October 15th, 2020 at 12:01 p.m. It was addressed to Mayor Awesome, to whom it may concern. I'm taking the time to send this email regarding the regulations of food trucks in Ottawa. I feel this is a lovely addition to our area that has much to offer visitors. The food trucks add flair and offer something different to the community. The food truck concept is forward-thinking, especially during this trying time with the current pandemic. I believe forward thinking is critical to advancement and growth. The food trucks add an exciting experience that can bring more business to our community. More business means more people. More people walking our beautiful downtown area and visiting our shops and restaurants. I personally feel the established restaurants should not feel threatened by the food trucks. It is a totally different dining experience. If anything, it may bring more business to the downtown restaurants. If the food trucks are invited to an event or place of business, I feel they should be able to attend and operate their truck. In closing, I feel any addition we can get to our downtown is beneficial to all business owners and the entire community. Sincerely, Jody Harris. The second email was received from Karen Murley. It was sent Thursday, October 15th, 2020 at 3:13 p.m. We do hope the City Council and Mayor, as well as Ottawa business owners, treat Bertha Food Truck as well as other food trucks with a sense of fairness. JD and Sadie are young entrepreneurs pursuing their dream. They have every right to do so. They have all the proper licensing, inspections, and insurance. This took some doing during this pandemic since these offices were closed for quite a while. Therefore, they had lots of expenditures, but no income coming in from Bertha until they had all their ducks in a row. I believe Bertha has been out 8 times. Each and every time they were invited to the location. They just don't park nilly-willy anywhere. We hope you can realize that Bertha is a positive for the city. Bertha is an attraction. People come to check Bertha out. Then these people flow into other businesses and make purchases, including the bars and restaurants. This is a winning scenario for all, including the City of Ottawa. They pay sales tax just like all businesses. They also have some upcoming events planned with nonprofit organizations. Bertha Food Truck should be able to operate just as it has been doing. If Bertha is invited to a business location or event, then Bertha should be allowed to be there. Any rules that are made shouldn't be too restrictive. Any permits or city license that may be required should be fair and not excessive. Bertha and food trucks in general should get fair treatment. Everyone is entitled to earn a living. Bertha Food Truck is a positive for this city. Bob and Karen Murley. The third is from Gigi Girl. It's sent Thursday, October 15th, 2020 at 10:15 a.m. addressed to Mayor Awesome. Good morning, Mayor Awesome. I look forward to success for both sides to reach an agreement for food trucks to be able to be in Ottawa. Residents here and visitors look forward to different outings, being able to be outdoors and trying new. I continue to patronize local always. Have through COVID times even more. No chains for me. I shop and eat local business. Thank you for doing your best always to keep Ottawa what it is. Georgine.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything to say from the public before we have the council weigh in on? It's just for the people that are watching live stream, they're unable to hear if you're not using a microphone.
That makes sense. So my name is Amanda. I own Open Space Art Gallery and Studios, and I've had Bertha at 2 of our events so far. And I just want to say our experience with that has been really positive. It's also brought business to the restaurants around us, and it's just made the event 10 times bigger than what it was before. And we've been doing, it's our third Friday event. We do it every third Friday of the month. We've been doing it since last year. We've been trying to get it to a level where a lot of the city knows about it, and it never got there until Bertha was invited and they came. And then we finally had enough people, and all the restaurants in our area on Madison Street were full. Everybody was enjoying themselves. It really brought a lot, and we want to continue seeing that happen, even for the places like I'm a business and I don't serve food. So COVID has hit us really hard too, and we're trying to find creative ways to bring people to our space also. And we want to be respectful for all the restaurants in our area too. So I went and asked them all if that was okay, and they were all okay with it. So we just want to make sure that it is something that we can keep doing as a business and that doesn't serve food.
Anyone else have any comments?
Hi, it's Ashley Davis again. And my comment is that I do hope that you guys do take in consideration with the food truck. Growing up here, as a little girl, there was only like one food truck here. You guys might not consider it as a food truck, but Bubbles, the ice cream truck, was actually a food truck. So as far as that, I would hope that the same regulations and everything does coincide with anything that you guys did have with Bubbles. I know times have changed. Everything is different now. And it is a lot of work to go ahead and get your licenses, and you do pay state tax, and you do have to pay for your truck. I mean, Monty's, JJ's Pub, no disrespect to you guys. I love you guys. And you guys are established. You guys have people that do come to you, a lot of people, but there are people that do want to get out there and get their food out there. You guys don't sell soul food. So what if there's a soul food truck coming through? You know, I mean, everybody, you know, not everybody, but a lot of people like soul food. You know, it's not just not the type of food just for certain people, you know. So I do hope that you guys do take consideration with that when it comes down to the food trucks, and that, you know, we do, as a community ourselves, we do want to put back to our community as well. And sometimes this is a way that we can give back to the community. And we hope that you guys do accept that and let us do that.
Thank you.
I just want to, my name is Holly Clark, and I'm also a small business owner, so I do know. I support them. We just want to say that when we signed the petition, we signed it as for an ordinance, not a ban. We absolutely think it's wonderful. As a neighbor, as a fellow business owner and small business, we do not want to see them go away. I certainly don't want to see a cupcake truck parked outside of my business. So I would like to see an ordinance, but I think that they're great and I think it does bring a lot to the community and I think it is good just to have a variety and I think it's completely different food. I agree with that. But I just want to say that we support you guys, the food truck and all of that and think it's great and we know how hard it is to run a small business. So we just wish you luck and we want you to know that we do support you, so.
All right, well, like I said, one of the concerns I have is that we didn't have any rules at all. And the other thing that was frustrating is that we found out that, so complaints we had weren't necessarily about food truck. It was, there's vendors that show up with a pop-up tent, got some tacos in a cooler, and they sell them and leave. We don't know who they are, where they're from. And it was kind of disappointing. We found out yesterday that if you call up the county for a permit, and they'll ask you, you know, how long is your event? If you say it's just a one-day event, they'll say, well, you don't need anything. Well, my goal is if council agrees, what my proposal is, we're going to adopt it and say, if you're going to come to Ottawa, you got to have all the proper paperwork. And I want to make it fair for the people that have that want to sell the food, but I don't want somebody to have a loophole that they could just come down every Friday and we don't know whether they're practicing safe food handling. So if we could get through that today, then we did do some research on a number of the cities around us on how they're, I don't think anyone really banned food trucks altogether. Maybe Naperville.
In their downtown district.
But most of them have a district that they don't, or they designate some spots. The other thing that we had is when doing this research is we have 3 other type of permits. Like when you mentioned the ice cream thing, we also have Twinkles. We look at them that they're selling a pre-packaged product. They're not really serving food, but we have peddler license, street vendor's license, and a transient merchant license. And they're all different fees, different rules, and I think at another day we'll address this where we'll come out, but we're not going to. My thoughts are, we'd like to get where it's fair, it's reasonable, and it just kind of covers the cost of doing the inspection and stuff. So with that, I'm going to open it up to the council for any comments.
Well, I agree with everything that you put down on, that you talked about earlier today. I think we have an obligation as a city council to make sure businesses are safe, as we do with the restaurants and other businesses in town. So I think we need to apply those same safety rules to a food truck also. I have to admit, I've eaten at several food trucks all over the country, and they're all really good. And some of them even have made the jump to go into a brick and mortar store. There's one in Chicago that sells lobster rolls, and they made the jump and went to a brick and mortar store, and it's just excellent. But I think they do need to be regulated. I think there needs to be a permit process, and we have to make sure that they're go through all the health safety stuff that you've identified.
I agree with Tom 100%. And I think Tom and I had this conversation shortly after I was elected, because I was surprised that there was no permit. There were a couple food trucks that were invited by local businesses. And the only reason they had contacted the city was because they wanted to use the parking spaces in front of their businesses. So they contacted us, and then when I questioned what else do they have to go through, and everyone said they don't have to do anything, I was a little surprised. So I think I had the conversation, Tom, maybe with you a year ago, and we kind of bounced ideas, but obviously it didn't come to a head until just recently. So I think it just needs to be fair, and it needs to be regulated, but it needs to be fair for both. And maybe that lobster roll place is probably regretting that now during COVID.
Commissioner Less?
Well, I think the most important thing is that whatever we can do to assure that somebody that is serving food or anything is doing it in an appropriate manner, does have whatever necessary licenses, permits, and training that they need as well. I think that's the key bottom goals, that there at least is something in place with that to make sure that for public health and safety, that people that are getting food from these vendors, that it is quality and a safe product. And, is able to do it. That's really the key.
Commissioner Eichelkraut?
Well, I have to agree with the idea that Tom said there. I think that anybody that has a food truck, even though I've never personally ate at a food truck, I just never really ever got into that. You know, there's permits that you need, and we got to set that up. Before they even hit the street, they have to have their sanitation license with the city, with here, so we know they have it. Their food handler license, we need them, okay? Just like the other two restaurants that you got people out here, okay? Now, and the people that just left, I kind of understand the point of view. You don't want to cupcake food truck in front of a bakery. That to me is a little bit on the ridiculous side here. We do have to have some limitations on where they can go, what they can do. I know you've drawn out this map here about the city of Ottawa, okay? Well, it's nice that you got the city of Ottawa here and you got the circles around the 200 feet, I noticed, okay? But, okay, doesn't include Monty, okay? Doesn't include a lot of other restaurants that come around, Subway, Jimmy John's, Sam's Pizza, Highway. I mean, there's so many different places around the city of Ottawa. And this is something that we have a little bit different than other towns, okay? And I do a lot of traveling, okay? We got a lot of downtown and a lot of restaurants in our town, okay? And I noticed over in LaSalle, they got like a food truck at Menards. They got one at the West Clock building, places like that, okay? They're out of the way. They're not near restaurants. They're, you know, I know Walmart doesn't allow them in their parking lot. I don't know if Farm Fleet does. Menards must over there in Peru, but I just feel that there's got to be some regulations on where they can be, where they can go. We don't need a situation, and I apologize for this, but people buying, I don't even know what you sell. You sell pastries or something? No. No? What do you sell?
We sell arepas and something else, other things too. It varies.
Okay, but I mean, you got the situation where you're at the wine place selling this right out front. They're going down the street and sitting at our grotto's table, okay, out in front of our grotto's eating, okay, which is his table for his customers, okay? And whether you believe it or not, we do get a lot of complaints on everything. I mean, and we actually hear everything that happens, okay? I mean, people tell us this, they call us up. I mean, that's why we're here, okay? I just feel that we have to take a look at the situation here. I know we can't ban food trucks, and that's not that doesn't seem to be our goal, okay? But we do have to put some regulations on it. And I went through all these different ones that you sent us.
Hang on one second. Kim, could you, there's a bunch of those copies of the maps in my conference room. You kind of pass them out so everybody can see what we're talking about.
But I'm just saying, there's all kinds of rules here, different types, like Moline, Effingham, Streeter, Naperville, Joliet, Champaign, Peoria, Peru. I mean, it's all different types of what they want. But if you go to downtown in some of these places, okay, in some of these areas, you're lucky you can find a place to eat. I mean, some of them don't have what we have here in the city of Ottawa. We got a lot of choices and a lot of places to go.
You want to limit that? You're saying you want to limit the choices then?
Well, I would feel that we should eliminate where food trucks can actually go, okay?
Farm and Fleet, I mean, there's Taco Bell.
Yeah.
And there's other places, I mean, anywhere you go, for the most part, there isn't any place for that.
Right.
I just want to be clear.
I mean, most of these towns do got a 200-foot limit.
Most of them do?
A lot of them do.
Well, here's what I want to explain on that map. Wayne, it wasn't sent out as a suggestion of what to do.
Right.
A lot of the cities restrict the downtown. So I had our city engineer print up the map. What's in red is what's considered our C4 downtown district. So it was just to give an example, if you eliminated downtown, that's what we're talking about.
So pretty much what you want to do is set all the trucks up there up north, or where.
Well, this isn't a recommendation at all. This is just to give a visual, because the other issue was Chicago has some real strict rules, and one of them is they can't have a food truck within 200 foot of a restaurant. And so someone challenged that, and it went to the Illinois Supreme Court. The Supreme Court sided with the city of Chicago. So the only thing we did with that map is to look at some of the restaurants downtown and do a 200-foot circle to show that pretty much if you adopted those type of rules, how much space you're eliminating from this food truck. But it was not meant to be a recommendation. It was just a visual to show this is the downtown district, this is the 200-foot. So to your point, Wayne, with the other restaurants, I mean, we certainly could have had Tom do a 200-foot circle around Monty's, Subway, and wherever you want.
Right, there's a lot of restaurants in Ottawa. We have
But
a
it
lot.
wasn't meant to show every single restaurant in town. It was just to give a visual of, like in the downtown area. Same thing came up when we were talking about restricting where a marijuana place could go. At a 500-foot circle, you couldn't have one anywhere. So that was the purpose of the map. It's not a recommendation. It's just a,
Pretty much say that, you know, hey, if we put trucks out this way, you know, there's really no room because it's a big old bubble where you can't.
Right.
You know, where trucks can't.
now we do know that there's businesses that have relationship with food trucks and some bar businesses. Backside had an event, Kitchen's out of commission, so they had Bertha's and Monty's down helping them out. I understand that the outage brings in a taco truck once a week. But both of those events happened to be, it was on their property, their parking lot, and so there's a lot of that stuff we have to talk about too. I mean, I certainly don't think anyone would have a problem with, I don't want to speak for the entire council, but if Brad wanted to have a couple food trucks in his parking lot, that's his parking lot, it's his property.
So there would be nothing in the regulations if a restaurant decides that say, hey, it's okay for, you know, food trucks to be, you know, next to our building. You know, if they decide they want that, there's not gonna be any regulations saying that, you know, that can't happen if a restaurant owner decides that they wanna like barter, you know, work together. Not necessarily work together like, hey, you know, I got your food, we got your food, but, you know, business, everybody does business together, you know, in the city of Ottawa, you're growing, you know, and you want people to venture out. So that's what I just want to know. There's not gonna be nothing where they can be like, oh, you know, well, now we don't, you know, we can't be here. Or are you guys just gonna set the regulations exactly to where our food truck can be?
The way I understand it is if you have private property, you need the regulations.
If there's a parking lot with private property on it and they want to have a food truck and they want to have an event, private property and their private parking.
Well, currently, we don't have any rules, so yes. So
Even
what we're
with
looking
regs.
at is, what are we gonna put in there? I would think that, yeah, if somebody's got private property and the room to do it, and like I said in my opening statement, though, I still want to get the food vendor, the guy that wants to pop up and sell tacos for 4 hours, he's got to have the same certifications that you guys do.
I agree with that 110%.
And I think that everyone would agree that that's a good move. And then the next step would be, you know, we certainly don't want to say, we're not going to allow them anywhere, and then we have some restaurant call up and say, hey, you know what, my cooler went out, can I have a food truck come in and help me out for the weekend or something? So that's what the purpose of this is, try to open up some discussion on what would work. It sounds like everybody's in agreement for the safe food handling stuff, so we could try to get that done first.
And there, I think the fire chief in an email brought up a good idea too, that there's probably needs to be some kind of minimal fire protection.
They have,
You get suspected when they're already all that stuff.
yeah.
We
You guys
are,
do. Others might not. That's what I'm saying, you know, that has to be part of our ordinance too, that, you know, I think.
I just want to bring up, I think we need to go over some hypothetical situations of what doing like a certain zone and restrictions, how it might seem fair, but it really, in some hypothetical situations, wouldn't be, because, for example, say a non-food business like Amanda wants to have, sometimes rents out her space for birthday parties and painting parties, and if someone wants to have our food truck there as their food for that party, we can't because she's downtown. She doesn't have a parking lot. That's unfair.
So you feel that you could put your truck anywhere on public property, any street, any sidewalk?
No, absolutely not. But if somebody wants and to pay us to be there and to work with each other, we are restricted then with what we can do with our business.
Well, I think the problem is that, and this is crazy times for all of us, but if Amanda had a parking lot, we wouldn't have an issue. But what we have going on here is we closed down the street for her, which we have for a number of the restaurants to help them out and other businesses. I mean, when Amanda first called me, you know, we were talking about doing stuff in the park. And I said, well, we're going to close Madison Street down. You do it right in front of your store. I think that's what we have to, and I did encourage her to talk to the three close by restaurants, and I know Sadie, you went with her. Those are things we got to find out, as if the, because I think one of the ordinances we looked at, that was the rule. If you were within so many feet of the restaurant, you had to get the okay from them that they were fine.
I will say that you guys have been amazing. The restaurants, the businesses, everything throughout all of COVID. It's been fantastic. I do appreciate you guys always letting me host the events and close the streets and do all that. It has been so helpful. But eventually, things are going to go back to normal. And I'm not going to get to shut the street down anytime I want to have a food truck involved. And like Sadie said, we do opening receptions, we do birthday parties, we do stuff like that. And yes, I'm surrounded by free restaurants that I am friends with and talk to and very considerate of. And they don't offer anything that the three restaurants around me offer. They have 2 options on their menu, appetizer sized. If I wanted to have the parking spots in front of my building, eventually when those are parking spots again, and have the food truck come out for an event that I'm doing, I would like to be able to do that. As a downtown business, I feel like I should have the same voice as the restaurants. I don't serve food, but I'm still trying to make a living, and it's, you know, right now it's hard. Before COVID, I'm a year and a half old. It's hard. So having different things that can draw people to my business is super helpful for me. I can't speak for Cat's Eye, but I know that they've invited Bertha also, and they are another business like me that does not serve food, but really does appreciate having the opportunity to have that food truck there. So I think if there's like a ban of the whole downtown for the food trucks, it's very unfair for the businesses that don't serve food. We're not trying to take anything away from restaurants. We're just trying to offer a little something else to gain attraction for our space. And as far as everything, we do not have people sit at the restaurants tables that are on our block. Sadie and Jared set out little side tables with 2 chairs, invite people there. We have tables at open space that we set out that people can stay at. And we try to encourage people not to sit at a restaurant unless they're a paying person for that restaurant with trucks food. As far as what you were mentioning, Wayne,
Well, things
about,
like that do happen.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, people, you can't control every single person. Somebody is going to be that person that, you know, breaks the
Well, the other
law,
thing you have to
does
realize
something
though,
that's rude, so.
the other thing you have to realize is that when we close down that street, even where it's closed just for the parking lane, that's still city property and the picnic tables are city picnic tables. So I mean, I don't think the restaurant can really say that's mine. And then to your point, Amanda, I think it's a different, if we're looking at setting up rules, if we said, you know what, yeah, I see Amanda's point, she should be able to have a food truck come. She only does it once a month. Well, then what if the next door neighbor decides to have a food truck there every day?
But
But
And
that, I
So
think
that's
the-
what I think we need to do is look at, you know, are we going to allow them on the city streets and the parking places? And if we do, is there going to be a limit to the number of times they can do it? And all of those things were in the different ordinances throughout the,
I think that makes more sense to just say you're by restaurants, you can't have one. If there was like, hey, if you're a downtown business and you want a food truck, if you want to pay $15 a month to have them there once a month, I would gladly pay $15 to have them at my or my business once a month. Or something like that. If that could be the regulation instead of just like, hey, they can't be downtown. Just my opinion, that would be really helpful for the businesses that aren't restaurants.
Well, one thing I'd like to bring up, okay, and I do eat a lot. I do eat out a lot, like probably 14 times a week. But you gotta take this situation, okay? I travel through town quite a bit, and there's a lot of things I do notice, okay? And if you wanna go to Bash, Lone Buffalo, our Grottos, go down by Monty's, you wanna take a ride by JJ's, or you wanna go to Court Street, okay, you're gonna notice one thing there. If you actually take the time to look, okay, and I like Bill Walsh cars, okay, don't get me wrong, okay, but you can see on the back of them cars where these cars are coming from, okay? And the last thing we want to do is shut down the whole town and feed it. You know, these people are coming from Naperville, Oswego, et cetera, they come to Ottawa to eat, okay? Now, why are they coming to Ottawa? Because we got some of the best restaurants in town. You go downtown at night, okay, and it's packed. You go to the south downtown at night, and guess what? You can throw your bowling ball on the street. You can have a good time. There's nothing there, okay? Like I said, I mean, Menards, West Clock, et cetera, that's where the food trucks are over in that area, okay? I've never seen one parked by a restaurant.
Rodeo Taco, right down the road from like 3 restaurants.
Where at?
Rodeo Taco.
Rodeo
Where's that at?
Taco, Peru. They're in Peru. And yes, I work in Peru, and Rodeo Taco sets up almost,
We got 7 taco restaurants in the city of Ottawa, and the one more opening up, so we got 6 or 7 in the Ottawa area right now.
All right.
I mean, yeah, you know, we gotta look for, and it's just my opinion, okay? I
No,
mean,
I'm-
it's Wisconsin's opinion, but we have to look out for the people that are in the buildings and paying all this money, okay, to own these buildings.
So you for the restaurant, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, we got 6, 7 places in downtown Ottawa you can buy tacos.
But what we're really concerned about is the whole fact that the restaurants are already established, like everybody that you mentioned, these are places that you eat.
They pay a lot of money for these here buildings.
Right, yes, and the people pay a lot of money for these trucks. They're like $30,000, $50,000 trucks and so on. You know what I mean? And up. So you can buy, you know, homes with this, you know, not everybody does have the luxury to buy a brick and mortar downtown. You know, it's very expensive downtown. You know, this is city of Ottawa. You guys didn't call it city for no reason because you guys are expanding. And it's been a long time, you know, and sometimes it's okay. And who says that you still can't go to Monty's? Who says you still can't go to JJ's? Who says that you still can't go to all these places that you love, by Yanchi's and everything like that? You know, like I said, like you had mentioned, there's a lot of tacos. That's too many taco places, sorry, you know, but let somebody else bring something else in. Something other, people have different taste buds. People don't want tacos every night. You don't want pizza every night. I
Yeah,
mean,
Thai,
and
I mean,
even
you
if they
can go down the
do,
list of the different things we do have.
right, but
And
even if,
we're probably the most versatile town as far as
absolutely.
food's concerned there is.
So why
around.
can't we shake it up a little bit more and bring these food trucks? That's exactly what we're trying to do.
One at a time, please. I can't hear everybody.
Sorry, but that's exactly what we're trying to do here, and that's exactly, City of Ottawa, we're not trying to take away from the restaurants at all. Like I said, you guys have plenty of people here that have established exactly where they want to eat, and where they want to go. So what if they want to come to a food truck one night? They're always going to go to Monty's. That's their favorite spot to go every weekend, for occasions. I went there for my graduation. I like Monty's. It's dark in there, but I like Monty's. They got good food. But there's nothing wrong with that. Just shake it up some.
It is dark in there, Brad.
Yeah. Yes, but so it is what it is. I shake it up, but I do get that. But as far as like permits and everything like that, like you said, we don't want nothing popping up as far as restaurants. Yeah, anybody that holds a restaurant, you got to make sure that you have those type of license and credentials. Because I'm not going to just eat anybody's food. You want to make sure that whoever's making your food, it's good and they're good. But are you going to make the permits if, like, say they want to go to Farm and Fleet, like you said, Farm and Fleet doesn't allow.
I don't know if they do or not.
But if they said they wanted to, they should, because they don't
Their
serve
parking
food
lot.
there. Right. It's a huge parking lot, and if somebody gets, tired, a lot of farmers up north, get tired, get done working all day, all night, whatever, and they want to come eat some food, there's a food truck right there. Or they can go across the street to Old Country Buffet. A Country Kitchen, Old Country Buffet. I mean, they can pick their choice. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? People are going to choose. Just give them the option.
Ask that too, as Thomas said, he tries food trucks all the time. And Wayne said he's never tried one. There's going to be people that try them all the time. There's going to be people that look for them. There's going to be people that see them and want to walk the other way. We're going to have that if we can just have the options for people, let them decide. It's not going to take away from the businesses that are already established. Like you said, it's just going to give people more options. And based on everything that I've been hearing, the community wants this. They want to have those options and to be able to have more than
Amanda, I understood what you talked about earlier with you owning a business downtown, not serving food if you do something, more or less like you be having them cater. But it's a food truck coming to your business, and it's off giving you that opportunity to provide food and more or less a catering service for your patrons. If there were restrictions, and again, hypothetical as the mayor indicated with this map, if there was a restriction put in place, nothing down in the core area or 200 feet from a restaurant, perhaps under the circumstances that maybe there could be something worked in with the ordinance, more or less like a food truck in a subcategory of a catering permit for a business that does not have food. For example, I wish I did, but if I owned First National Bank and I wanted to treat all my staff to a nice little meal, I could have the food truck come down. First National Bank, Mr. Harris would be happy to pay for it. And you could go there and you have, these are odd times with COVID too. Well, we can't go out to the restaurant, we can't go here. Food truck might be an opportunity to do something nice for your employees, to say a nice thank you. And the restriction, you can't do it. No, obviously it would be restricted, but perhaps there is something in there or a mechanism, if there were restrictions, that there could be like a catering permit under food trucks that could be allowed. And maybe that indicates that if there is a restaurant within 200 or 500 feet, we'd like you to talk to them, let them know what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and let them say, hey, are you okay with it? Are you going to be offended? We're going to do it from 5 to 7. It's for a kid's birthday party. Or, hey, we just want to treat our employees for lunch. And I think something like that, I don't know how the restaurant owners feel, if they'd like to chime in on that, but I think that would be.
Well, that goes back to the idea.
But that, I think that would be a concession that would allow you to give you the opportunity to say, hey, well, this is out of control. You've had it 5 times this week. No. Or if it's, twice a year, they come down for, Wednesday before Thanksgiving, hey, let's do a little turkey dinner outside of outside of our food truck, outside of the business, or something like that. So I don't know if any of the restaurant, Brad, I don't know if you want to say anything, Jeremy, how you guys would feel about something like that. And again, this is all discussion. Nothing's in place, nothing's on the table for actually restrictions at this time, and or what them might be, so.
I guess I'll say a few words. First of all, there was no ill will towards a restaurant or food trucks when this started. There was nothing against Bertha's. The whole thing was to try to prevent that the city of Ottawa does not have any restrictions for food trucks. Unfortunately, Jared's the only one right now, but congratulations on all the attention you're getting. It's great advertising. That was not the point of this. The point of this is we don't want people coming into our town that we pay brick and mortar, property tax, sales tax, employ people, coming into town, taking the best 2 or 3 days of the week or the month, and then going out of town, and they don't support the community. So that was the first thing we were only trying to accomplish with the city, is to get something. Unfortunately, people read into it the wrong way. They go crazy on Facebook. It blew up a little bit. So I'll take the blame for that. 15 years ago, as you can remember, Wayne, I think the mayor was here. I went against the non-for-profit people doing fried fish every Friday. If you're gonna do fried fish every Friday, 30 Fridays in a row, that's half the year. You're hurting us. You're hurting the restaurants. We can all work together. Jared could have his place. Jared's been at Mike Coretto's property, never had an issue at all. He moved downtown, parked in front of a few restaurants, kind of rubbed him the wrong way, which I totally agree with. We just don't want them parking in front of restaurants. Let's have a food truck park. Let them do their own thing. There's plenty of room in this town for a park where these guys could go. That being said, there's enough room for all of us, the diversity and everything that they want to do. That's something they can plan and organize. But we don't want this blowing up. It's not restaurants against food trucks. Everybody needs to work together here. Give them their space, give them our space. As for other restaurants inviting food trucks down, I totally disagree with that. I wouldn't bring my girlfriend in front of your place to try to sell art. So I think that's something we all got to think about, is use common sense when we're doing this, especially downtown. So that's my thought on it.
Thanks, Brad. When you mentioned the food truck park, though, I noticed some of the cities do have designated areas. Would that be something that's open all the time?
I think if Jared wants to lead this, maybe look at North Memorial. We got a beautiful park down there. The only thing we use it for is ice skating rink. Why couldn't they have it there? You're not competing with anybody. There's picnic tables. There's plenty of park area. You can sit in the grass. You can have 5, 6 trucks there.
Well, what about downtown Laura Lake, where you have all the young teens hanging out with their trucks, just parked out playing
Right,
music?
and kind of what I was getting at, though, is, like, I know, and Brad said it well, that Jared got an awful lot of attention, and say, for the way this started out, but in reality, I think they've only operated like 6 or 8 times. And, it's an
8.
event and it's done. So we do a food truck park. Are you talking a similar thing where somebody comes in on a Saturday afternoon, or can they be there 7 days a week?
Exactly.
That would be up to them. They have to pay a fee to come down.
Ex-
And they have to
I,
be licensed.
if anything, I would think that if you want food trucks, if you want to get them established there, why don't you make sure that the owners of these food trucks are already established within LaSalle County? Just to make that fair, besides to
Well,
have
that was
people
one of our
coming
biggest things.
from.
Most of the food trucks aren't from here. Jared is. We have no issue with
Right.
that. We have,
Right, I'm trying to
we
figure
have
out that
issues
because I
with
haven't seen
people
it.
coming to town.
I will clarify what Ashley's trying to say. Ashley, I'm sorry. I'm just going to be real with everyone right here. We are the only food truck. The taco truck went out of business a year ago. The man that set up the tent with the tacos in the cooler, I haven't seen in a year. I'm just going to address that right now. The elephant.
I've seen the tent on Route 6.
Right.
I also just feel like we can coexist together in the entire town, not in this area, and have to segregate our business and that be dictated based off of what other businesses think. I mean, did anyone tell you, Brad, that you couldn't buy Monty's because they didn't want it to be a restaurant? I can see that point of view. Yeah.
But
I can say-
I'll be honest with you, I got an actual call when they sat down. I got a call from the owner. The owner calls me up and says, Wayne, they're doing this, such and such, I mean.
Like I said,
I'm not surprised, and if I would have seen it for myself, I would have walked out of my truck and asked those people to move. I didn't see it, but I can wholeheartedly tell you we would not allow that ourselves.
First of all, okay, don't take any offense by this. If you were the only food truck that we were gonna have in this town, okay, these regulations, basically, anybody could flock in, okay? And that's the problem. We have no rules and regulations. It's just that, and like I said, I don't eat at food trucks. I never have. I've looked for years. I've never seen it. I mean, literally, when all this started coming up, I started driving by that funny looking house to see if I could find a place and see what you actually were serving.
We need to rotate the microphone around because the people watching the live stream can't hear the people.
But anyway,
without
like I
microphone.
said, there's a difference here, and we do need the rules and regulations because basically you might not be the only food truck in the future, okay? And that is a problem, and I understand where Brad's coming in. You don't want a food truck in front of a business that actually sells food or right next to one. There's a lot of things we gotta look into, okay? Like I said, if it was only one food truck, we wouldn't be worried about it but now it could be wide open. Like I said, it's opening up over Moselle, Peru quite a bit. It's opening up over Portillo's is bringing their food truck over to Streeter, probably parking right next to the Dog Suds place that sells the same thing. So I mean.
Well, I think we're all in agreement that,
I think that we're all in agreement, here that we're not trying to just go park a truck, on somebody's private property. We're not trying to be disrespectful. All clearly stated that, that we go and ask for permission to be where we're at. We're not just going to be just like, we're just going to park here and we're just going to sell our food. We don't care about what you're selling, because that's bad business out the door. Nobody wants that. And, and who's to say that, like these established restaurants that everybody loves, what's wrong with them getting a food truck? They can get a food truck too if they wanted to. Some of them don't deliver, but there's so many stuff going on. There's DoorDash, there's Grubhub, there's ways to get their food out there. So like I said, we understand what the regulations as far as that. We just don't want to be stuck to where we have to get a permit every time we go somewhere here like that and have to pay those fees. That would just be ridiculous. Contract with somebody for so many days, why would that not be? That would be fine, right? To be able to be on somebody's property if they say that we can be there for so long and the city accepts it. Or you guys are sitting here talking about a food park, a designated area, and then.
Well, on the fees, I think that from the city's perspective, number one, we want to make sure we handle the safe food handler. And the fee is probably going to be a one-time. We certainly don't want it. We don't have the resources to have somebody go out and check,
But you keep saying city for a food handler, that's the whole state thing. We just have in the state of Illinois.
I understand that.
Right, but if you got a business,
But-
you have to have food handler license to serve the food.
You have to have it for handling food, period.
Yeah.
Right. I know you're supposed to have that.
For that too, you gotta know temperature of the food, it's
It's not a cakewalk. It's not like somebody's just in their kitchen and like, yeah, I've been cooking for my kids for, as long as they've been alive, so I could do this. No, not everybody's a great cook. Not everybody, follows the temperatures. They don't know about the, these danger zones. They don't know these things. So, I mean.
But the problem that I tried to express earlier, though, if you called up the county and said, hey, I'm coming into Ottawa for a festival, Labor Day weekend, and I'm going to be there just on Saturday, what do I need? And the county's going to say, well, you don't need anything because it's a one-day event.
But you guys put that in place. You guys do that. I mean,
And,
that's for,
and what
like,
I'm
little
saying
kids
is,
that do
no,
the
I don't
lemonade
care if
stands.
you're coming in for an hour, show me that you're a legitimate operator and you've
Right.
got all the same stuff that Bertha's has and you have,
Oh, yeah,
and the restaurants have.
that's fair. That's absolutely fair.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like everybody's in agreement on that part, so we'll try to have something Tuesday at city council meeting.
Well, we got actually a food festival here next weekend, don't we?
Yeah.
They've been talking about it, there's enough trucks, I guess.
All I've seen was on Facebook, they said the Rotary Club's putting one on or something like that, Noon Rotary, or I seen also that yous were gonna be downtown Ottawa on the 24th. I don't know where at, but
That would be with that group.
Well, we have been asked to be part of the food truck festival, but there's not been a whole lot of clarification on any other food trucks yet. So
so you're the only food truck?
if they can't get any other ones, that I don't know what.
You'll get more business.
Well, yes, thank you. So yes, basically what you see on Facebook is just us putting out there that we will be operating on the 24th.
I just seen that, and
Yeah.
like I said, I was.
Well, and we're
searching for it. I
certainly
wanna
not
find out
trying
what you
to,
had.
we're certainly not trying to knock out a fundraiser for a nonprofit.
Yeah.
Right.
The idea is to address the problem, and I would hope that any food trucks that would be coming into that event would be as well prepared as you guys are and have all the certificates and the food license, and it shouldn't be a big deal.
And all the ones that I had recommended to Rob Hasty, who I've been communicating with on this, and all the other ones that I gave him names and numbers of, they're all top-notch food trucks.
Okay.
Won't be a problem.
Where are they gonna be located at?
Washington Park, I believe.
I definitely agree that there needs to be some sort of restrictions for the downtown area in place because it's the only way that everybody's going to be happy. If there's some sort of cut and paste, like this is how it is, this is how many times they can come in downtown, or this is how many food trucks we can allow. If you guys look at Peoria's plan, so Peoria restricts the number of licenses issued for the downtown business district of no more than 3 mobile food licenses each year. So if we could put something in
Do you
place
see
like
what the
that,
fee is for that?
300,
300 annually.
3,400.
$3,400 to be downtown.
3,400.
Oh,
Yeah, for downtown, it's 3,400.
I wouldn't suggest that part. I wouldn't suggest that part. But I think the idea of having a restriction for who can come to the downtown area is smart. Give it to the people who are local, who are here spending their money on the restaurants, on the community. My business is a great part of our community. It is an art gallery that, lifts the scale of our downtown area along with all the other shops. And I just don't think that it's fair to say that just because I'm by a restaurant, I should not be allowed to do something that helps bring me business. So I think having some sort of rules in place that allow only certain food trucks that you guys deem okay to be in the downtown area and even limit the amount of times that I can have it. I'm fine with that. Right now I have them once a month. Tomorrow they're coming for our last third Friday of the year. I think it would be great to be able to offer them during opening receptions. Those are once a month. I haven't really thought about the idea of offering them to people for birthday parties or anything, but that could be something if it wasn't imposing on restaurants around me. I am very concerned about how they feel as me as their neighbor. And I go out of my way to ask them things when I do the same thing to them. I pay my rent. I work hard for our community to be able to bring great stuff to our community. So I just really think that having some sort of, like, I know this is just like an idea, but I just don't think it should all be read all the time. I think there needs to be some sort of something in place where we can have a few people come in to businesses that don't sell food. And if we can come to an agreement with that, that would be really great.
Amanda, what are the hours for your event tomorrow?
Tomorrow, 5 to 8.
5 to 8? Commissioner Eichelkraut, tomorrow's your first opportunity to try food truck food. 5 to 8, Madison Street, be there.
And this time,
I probably got that psychologically thing in my head, okay, about carnival food, you know, and, you know,
Not at all.
so, yeah, well, I've been to places where I'm sure you would want to.
Well, anyway, I was gonna
Anyway.
say on the Peoria one, just reading that, sounds to me like they had an attorney that said you really can't ban food trucks. So they said, okay, we're gonna charge them $3,400. And that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to get everybody in the same room and figure out something that works.
Like Joliet,
We-
they actually do ban.
As of this year, we did not venture into any other. $25.
What do you think a fair fee is for the year?
Yeah, the way it is now.
Well, just for clarification though, LaSalle charges $600. So I don't know if they just changed that.
They must have just changed it. It
But
was,
but in those things we emailed out last night, and Ashley, I didn't have your email, so I'll make sure you get a copy of this, but
So if you charge $600 mayor for a food truck to come out of, that could be 1 day or 40 days, correct?
well,
We
I
have to limit that.
I don't think we're, we'll have to discuss that.
Mayor, I think originally they had a fee for a one-time, and then if you were out for it, you could pay for a year.
I
know
think-
that's not what it said, and it may
I
not
think
be
so.
how it was now.
I think monthly would be fair because we don't operate 6 months out of the year.
Right.
So annual
Well, we've
But I
seen
think
some of
that's-
them that have annual and a 6-month one.
or do either or.
I don't think we're gonna have anything that's gonna be that excessive. We're gonna try to get all the vendor licenses, I would think, around the same amount. I don't want somebody saying, well, I'm a peddler because it's only $50.
And I think the restaurants and the food trucks can coexist together nicely. However, I wouldn't want to see a food truck in every corner. And we kind of do limit the number of restaurants we have, at least the ones that sell alcohol, by limiting the number of alcohol licenses that we give out. And I think that's something we should consider with the number of food truck licenses. You know, I wouldn't want to see 50 food trucks coming into town and, one weekend and that kind of stuff. So I think that's something we need to consider also.
What is the, I'm sorry, go ahead, Sadie.
I have just a suggestion, being that there is either one or maybe only 2 food trucks in town. We start out being very fair and diplomatic and, and if next year there's more and it starts becoming a bigger thing, you readdress it. So, but first to start, I will say it's kind of hard to not take it personal.
And I think that's why we're here today, this is preventative, to make sure we don't get 15 food trucks that sell. Nothing against you guys, it's just, we have to have an ordinance. Bottom line.
You just happen to be the only one that's here.
Exactly.
Well, and the other thing too is I think they have a unique product where, someone had posted that we need a Italian sausage truck, we need a tenderloin truck, and that's all stuff that's sold by our local people. You're coming in with something that's different and you're not really competing, but it's like the article the Times had today. The pizza guy probably doesn't want a pizza truck out in front of his store selling a slice of pizza. So, and I think everybody gets that.
experience of Ottawa in the downtown and the area and the cuisine aspect, and to attract the businesses like Amanda's as well as other dining establishments. I mean, we literally directed people to go to AJ's for drinks when we've been down there, and other places to go do things. We don't sell that stuff. We are starting your night off kind of thing when we're doing these things elsewhere. Most of the businesses who have been involved or around there, get it or not, they had better nights when we were there. The will and other ones that won't, they had better nights. We're there because it out of the area and then out did things. So it's an attraction aspect. There is that like novelty to a food truck that bring people out. But then yeah, when it's quality food and done right, coming and gets chatter going on. Yes. Eichel Kraut's explanation about the dining experience of Ottawa and coming here, having these things and not to an exorbitant amount does add to that. Adds to that experience. It draws people that wouldn't normally come and eat at Monty's, who maybe this and go, where else can I go that's nice, and be directed in that direction. It adds to everything.
Kelly, what's the current annual fee for the ice cream truck vendor? Yeah,
Well, you could, it's different in our code. They can pay monthly, annually, so it's set up differently.
Currently, we've only got the one.
We actually had two
Two?
this past summer, but, yeah. So before they used to have, Twinkles used to have 2 trucks. She only has 1 now, so she paid $100.
Annual fee, $100.
Where are we at?
Up to you.
Yeah, right.
We need some rules, regulations put together by.
Well, I think for
corporate
sure,
counsel and-
I don't know if we're prepared to decide whether you're going to have restrictions or where you're going to put them, but the thing I would certainly like to adopt Tuesday night would be the rules that you have to have the certificates and the food handling license and provide copies of the
Sanitation manager's course and the ANSI food handler training.
right.
Just to be clear, we are required by the state to carry that with us at all times on our truck
know
and
that.
have it posted. Okay, so
I actually have a food handler's license and went.
So is that, I mean, what we're saying, is that too cumbersome, you think, or is
no,
it?
no, it's definitely, it needs to be
For a
required.
legit place, no, it's not. But for a legit business that's coming in a truck, there's some you're gonna get that aren't gonna have these.
Well, I mean, they should have.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If they're a legitimate truck or a tent or a food cart, they should have it. And they should not be surprised when the city says, send us a copy of your credentials.
I mean, we actually have to have on the wall, food handlers gotta be there.
I'm not an honest in this, I've done that sort of stuff for years.
Well, like I said, we're not really picking on you. It just happens that there is a lot of food trucks out there and we don't have any rules and regulations whatsoever. Yeah.
A little bit personal.
And it does look like on November 18th, 2019, that they may have modified their mobile vendor one, so they could have possibly increased it in November of 2019. LaSalle, so I can't tell for sure.
Is anyone in the council at a point where they want to set territory or?
I'm not prepared at this time to go with that. I think the important thing and the highest priority right now is to go ahead with the health regulations and requirements on what documents they would need at this time. I think we could discuss further options with restricting, non-restrictive, again, whether it's restricting locations, number of everything. I think that's a whole nother discussion that needs to be taken a lot more into consideration. Pretty lengthy conversation on that before.
I think we could look at the fee part. I mean, you could think about that as far as what fee you're looking at charging.
The, anything that would be come up with, would that be enforced in the remaining of 2020 or would that be for next year?
Myself personally, I wouldn't want to see anything effective prior to January 1.
But we're not gonna be.
Well, I disagree.
Right.
I don't care about the fee. I never did care about the fee. But if somebody's coming into town,
Well, as far as the fee.
I want them to show the certifications and everything.
Oh, that should be maybe immediate, you're
As
right.
far as the.
And that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I
But
was-
I'm talking about the location restrictions. When
That's
that
gonna
is,
take some time.
so next
Work out
year.
Between us.
I actually think that by us just adopting these, say, food handling, we're probably gonna at least send out the message that you gotta be playing by the rules. And, I don't know, what's everybody's thoughts of,
I think this is.
we're going into cold weather now anyway, so it's.
I think this is where we need to start. Then we can think about restricting the number of food trucks. And if we want to consider location restrictions, we can do that. But I think we definitely have to start with the safety stuff.
Again, Shelley, on the ice cream truck vendor.
What license are they working
Dave,
on now?
Is there,
It's on the third page of
Street vendor.
memo.
is there a cycle on that one as far as when is it on calendar year or is it May or anything like that?
What's
It
that?
says annual, but I mean, obviously she only operates when in the summer.
So we're gonna adopt the safe handling rules, and we'll leave the restricted areas until, give us to the end of the year to figure out where we do it, and we can do some research on a food truck park and other options, and probably when we get to that point, we'll have another one of these workshops, get everybody back and sound good with everybody?
Sounds good. We thank you.
Right, and then Ash